African continent and across the world. It is so lovely to have you with us on this third Wednesday of the month for today's live session. My name is Maud Nale. I'm the communications lead here at Digital Earth Africa, and on behalf of Digital Earth Africa, so lovely to see so many of you here today. The topic that we're going to be talking about today is all about urban change detection. And I'd like to take just a few seconds to introduce our facilitator for today. Her name is Victoria Nima. She is not a stranger to the Digital Earth Africa family and these live sessions. And she is a junior developer at Kartoza. At this point, Victoria, I'm going to hand the stage to you. Over to you. Thank you, our presenter, Victoria Nyaga or Nima from Kartoza, one of our partners on this Digital Earth Africa program. Over to you, Victoria.
Thank you, Maud. Apologies for the delay. Now we'll get started with the presentation. We'll be talking about the two notebooks that we have in the sandbox you can use to detect change in urban extent. So our sandbox for our new users is a cloud-based platform that we have that operates through a Jupyter Lab environment and provides you with limited but free computing resources so that you can explore our Digital Earth Africa products and services for your own analysis. What we'll be examining today is change in urban extent and seeing the different spectral indices that we have to view urban areas more clearly. Next slide, please. So the rate of urbanization for a city, town, or any other classified as urban area is an important indicator of its sustainability. Now, rapid unplanned urbanization can result in very poor outcomes, such as overcongestion, disease outbreak due to water shortages or exposed drainages, which is just a result of inadequate and overburdened infrastructure. Now, to be able to address these results, we need to first be able to monitor regularly and accurately urban expansion in order to track the urban development over time. Now, Digital Earth Africa provides a cost-effective and accurate method of mapping the urban extent of cities and towns using different indices derived from our Landsat and our Sentinel products or Earth observation data sets. So in the detecting change in urban extent notebook, we use the enhanced normalized difference impervious surface index derived from Sentinel-2 or the Sentinel-2 annual geomod to examine the change in urban extent between a baseline year and a more recent year that we'll call the analysis year. Now, this notebook supports the SGD indicators listed on screen. For more on how Digital Earth Africa supports the SDG goals, that we do have a SDG notebook in the sandbox. The link is in the presentation once. I think we'll distribute it. Yes. Now, on screen, we can see how we calculate the enhanced normalized difference impervious surface index, which has been shown to work well in a variety of environments. Now, like all other normalized difference indices, the most well-known being NDVI, the range for the index is from -1 to 1. Now, in the notebook, we follow the simple steps of loading the data, calculating the index, thresholding the index, and then comparing the urban extent in the baseline year to the more recent year to determine whether the urban area has grown or decreased. Next slide, please. Now, on screen are some of the areas we have run the notebook for. For example, we have the Gulu in Uganda. The coordinates are on screen, so in your own time, you can, free time, you can be able to plug in those coordinates and the analysis and baseline year and be able to run the analysis and just check on the results. So in the notebook, we do use the Otsu thresholding method to determine the threshold. So it varies between the area of interest. So for this case, we have a negative 0.29 as our threshold for determining whether an area is an urban area or not an urban area for the pixel. So you can clearly see the 2017, 2021 annual geomad, how it looks like. Then on the bar graph, you can see the change in extent in kilometers squared. And then we also have a map on the right that shows clearly the what has been determined as urban growth, or where urban decline has occurred, or where between the analysis area and the baseline the baseline year and the analysis year, what has remained the same as an urban area. We also have run the notebook for quite a few areas. So in this case, we have Ghana. The coordinates are on screen, and you can see what the image on the left is what the index looks like when plotted. So it again, it's the minimum is -1 to the maximum of 1, and the higher values indicate an urban areas, and the lower values indicate not urban area. So we have Kumasi in Ghana also. You can see the image on the left now gives a different view of how we using the threshold on screen. That's -0.26. You can clearly see when you threshold the index, what has been determined as urban area, which is the yellow pixels, and then non-urban areas are the purple pixels on the image on the left. And then you can now use that from the thresholded image, we can calculate the urban extent in 2017, our baseline year, and 2020, our analysis year. So you can, from the bar graph, you can see there's quite a large increase in area. The next area is Harare, Zimbabwe. And a thing to note is that this workflow or notebook is quite useful in terms that it can potentially inform urbanization policies for local to regional to national governments on how to plan for urban areas or to manage urbanization for an area. For Gaborone, Botswana, you can clearly see the city has grown quite a bit from 254.68 kilometers squared to 263. You can see how it's distributed. On the image on the right, you can see an area of urban decline, which is quite rare to see sometimes in certain areas, and you can clearly see the areas of urban growth which are more spread out, and the areas which have remained urban over time. The next slide, on your bottom left, I guess because this is now a PDF, in the presentation, you'll be able to see a time series of how the urban Nairobi has changed from 1986 to 2022 using the Sentinel-2 annual geomad. So that can give a very interesting visual to see visually how an area has changed. To be able to know how to generate these animations, we do have in the frequently used folder in our sandbox notebooks. We do have a notebook called Generating Animations, and you can use it to plug in your digital ad hoc product name, be it Sentinel-2, Sentinel-1, Landsat, and you can specify the time range, and you can be able to generate an animation of images from your baseline to your end of the time range. We also have run it for Johannesburg in South Africa, and you can see the from the the bar graph, sorry, in the middle of the slide, that the increase is quite it may be small but quite not noticeable. So we've moved from 2017, where we had 1,059 to 1,184 square kilometers. Now, in the sandbox, we also have different indices that, apart from the enhanced index that we've mentioned previously, that you can use to check for urbanization or monitor urban areas extent. We have the artificial surface index. We have also the normalized difference built up index. On screen, you can see how these indices are calculated. So like for the ASI, please note that it's made up of different components. So that's why you see quite a bit of formulas on the screen. So each component is used to make up the entire index. You can use we have the urban index comparison notebook in the real world examples folder, which you can use to just compare how the different indices look for a particular area of interest. For example, in the notebook on the sandbox, we have run it for Dakar, Senegal. The coordinates are on screen, so you can just plug them in and run it on your own and just see how that looks like. Next slide, please. So on screen, you can see how the NDPI, the Enhanced Normalized Difference Impervious Surface Index, and the Artificial Surface Index look like for Dakar, Senegal, and the different values that they take. All of them are normalized indices, so that means they range from -1 to 1. Next slide. So because they're quite different in how they approach the calculations are done, we have to derive a threshold for them to determine what pixels we classify as urban areas and what pixels we classify as non-urban areas. And you can clearly see on screen the using the brown, the gray areas are urban areas, the brown areas are not urban areas. Now we compared the indices using the global settlement layer. So this, you can easily download this the tiles for the layer and just upload them into Sandbox for the area of interest that you'd like, and then just run it in the notebook to be able to compare the indices to the global settlement layer, which will now be used as our accuracy measure. And on screen, you can see where the different indices identified urban areas when they're really not urban areas. That is our false positives. We also have our false negatives, which are the red areas where the index identified an area as not urban area, but it is an urban area. And we also have our true positives, which is where the index was correct in identifying the urban areas. We also did run it for Dar es Salaam, so you can see that had more accurate results in terms of the thresholding. So these indices tend to behave differently depending on your area of interest. So it's best to compare before running your final analysis, to compare how the different indices behave before settling on one and using it for your urban area detection. For more links on what we've done, we have the sandbox link, the Africa map link on screen, where you can simply have a chance of viewing the data sets. Also have a link to the different notebooks that you can run. For more, if you'd like help or for more inquiries, we have the help desk where you can ask your questions and you will be promptly guided or given answers. We do also have the training course, which allows you to better familiarize yourself with our analysis sandbox and the products we have and how to run different analysis. A certificate of completion is awarded at the end of the course once upon completion of all the exercises. So thank you so much. Just a reminder, we have weekly live sessions every Wednesday, alternating between English and French. Our email at the Digital Africa email address is on screen should you have more inquiries. And we also have our newsletter and the website for more information. Thank you.
Presentation on urban change detection. I was trying to understand everything, but I know that the target market for that definitely understood it. Leaders, we always love to give you an opportunity to ask questions to our presenter. Maybe something was not clear. Maybe you're looking for an urban change indicator in your country and maybe Victoria didn't cover it. So at this time, we're going to give you an opportunity to ask your question. So you can either do so in the chat box or you can use that raise hand emoticon, and then we will certainly acknowledge you and give you an opportunity to ask your question. I said earlier, and I will say it again, or I will show it on the screen once more. We love to engage with our users, and so please do connect with us via our website, which is on screen. If you have any questions about today's presentation or any other sessions that we posted, there is an email address. We are on Twitter and LinkedIn, and this recording, as well as all other recordings from our live sessions, will be available on YouTube. You can screen grab this page so that you can join whichever platform or platforms suit you best and that you are on, and let's continue to engage and keep the conversations going. It's been an honor hosting you today, a very big group. We have these sessions every Wednesday at 11 a.m. GMT 0. So I want to encourage you to join us. We alternate between English and French though. Today's session was in English. Next week, it's going to be in French. So if you speak French, you want to come to that session because it's going to be in French. And then we will gather again 2 weeks from now. We will have our next session, which will be in English. As we normally do here on our live sessions, we like to capture memories for our social media pages. And so if you're comfortable and you are able to, please can you turn on your watch to firstly our presenter, Victoria. Thank you for giving of your time, your experience and your expertise on this topic of urban change detection. And then to you for making the time and coming through, we really appreciate it. We look forward to connecting with you. So I hope you were able to get that information and join us on any one of our social media platforms. You're also welcome to reach out to Ken, Joseph, or Edward on the other presentation that I showed, and they will add you to our community of users WhatsApp groups if you are not there already. If you'll be joining us next week, I look forward to seeing you for that French session. But until then, we'll meet again in 2 weeks' time for our English session. Please, leaders, take care, be safe, and I look forward to engaging with you on our social media platforms. Bye-bye.